Generally speaking, anything you put in your shoe is probably going to feel pretty good. I mean, feet like contact, they like to feel supported, they like to have the pressure spread out instead of concentrated in specific areas. And so most things you put in your shoes are going to feel pretty good. Each off-the-shelf insert has different qualities to them, and what's unique about my inserts, first of all, is they're made of two different densities of foam. Okay, this top cover, this foam is called ethyl vinyl acetate. It's what you see in the midsoles of running shoes, and it comes in different densities. So the top cover here is a little bit softer, and then the shell underneath is a little bit firmer. So you get cushioning and control out of these guys because of the dual density nature. Another feature that's unique about my inserts is that the heel cup is very deep, deeper than any other that I've seen off the shelf. And the wall that comes up into the arch is very high. So the idea here is you're not sitting on something, you're actually in something. And that will give better control of your arch and your foot. Now, when your foot collapses inward, of course we call that pronation, right? And if you pull your arch up, well, that's supination. And this thing, pronation, is very complex and very poorly understood. I mean, if you were to go to, say, a running shoe store or a podiatrist or even a physical therapist, anybody who might watch you walk or run, if they see your arch collapse at all, they practically call 911. I mean, they're freaking out. They're like, oh my God, you're pronating, we have to stop that. Well, that's true for some people, okay? For some people, even the slightest little bit of pronation is too much, okay? And it can cause damage. Whereas other people, they can collapse all the way to the floor, and that's what they should be doing. What really determines how much pronation a person can get away with actually has very little to do with their foot, okay? It has more to do with their knees and their hips and their back. Because when you pronate, your alignment changes. Everything stacks up differently. But the fact is that it's different for different people. I mean, I'm always telling my runners, you've run in a group before, and somebody up ahead of you is pronating like crazy, and you're running along going, man, that don't look right. Man, that dude's got to be hurting. But he's ahead of you, okay? So it's working for him. So there's something about pronation that really is different for different people. Feet are designed to pronate, okay? To say that your foot should not pronate would be like saying you shouldn't be bending your elbow. Well, that's what it does, okay? And that's what feet do. The real issues with pronation really have less to do with how much a person pronates and more to do with how rapidly they pronate. Because rapid movement is going to be more damaging than decelerated movement. So the idea behind a flexible insert that's really wrapped up high in the arch and captures the heel is not to stop pronation, but it's to decelerate it, to slow it down, okay? And that will reduce the damaging effects of pronation. These don't try to stop you from pronating, they just slow it down, okay? And reduce it somewhat. There's also a first metatarsal cutout in these inserts, and I just learned actually on myself when I was dealing with plantar fasciitis that when I added this feature to my inserts, my plantar fasciitis went away. And there are good biomechanical reasons for this. If we let the first metatarsal drop a little bit, that's the big bone on the inside of your foot, then that actually enhances the arch and it puts more slack on the plantar fascia. So it's better for plantar fascia, it's better for prevention of plantar fasciitis and for treatment of plantar fasciitis, which is pretty much the most common problem that I see in my clinical practice. The other issue with these is because they're so deep and wrapped up so high, then they provide what we call total contact or greater contact with the foot. And that has something to do with pressure. You see, pressure is force divided by area, okay? So all that means is that if I press on my leg using my whole hand with 2 pounds of force, well, that's not much pressure, okay? Same amount of force though, 2 pounds, using one finger, well, that's a lot of pressure. But the force is the same, okay? This is 2 pounds and this is 2 pounds. The difference is here, that 2 pounds is spread out, and here it's all concentrated in one spot. So if our goal is to reduce pressure under your foot, we don't necessarily need soft materials, although that feels good. We need materials that touch as much of your foot as we can. We need a design of total contact. This is a pressure map that was done on somebody without their bones, just walking in their regular running shoes, and with the bones in their regular running shoes. And what this map shows is it just gives peak pressure under all parts of the foot, averaged over about 15 to 20 steps. So the first thing you notice is this one has some red and yellow in it, and this one has no red and a little bit of yellow in it. But if you look at it a little bit more closely, the reason for that is that you've got all this white right here, okay? This is the part of the arch that when a person's wearing their shoes is not contacting anything. So there's no force distribution under the arch itself. With the bones, that white area is eliminated on this side and greatly reduced on this side. In other words, we're adding force to the arch itself. Well, remember, pressure is force divided by area. So if we get more area that we're contacting, then the pressure is going to go down. Okay, so in this case, this person went from 61 psi to 48 psi in the ball of their right foot. They went from 53 psi to 48 psi on this side. But more dramatically, what happens in the heel is that this person went from 35 psi down to 19 on the left side, and from 38 psi down to 19 on the right side. So this is just a matter of spreading that force out over a larger area. Pressures naturally go down. It's simple physics. So I thank you for your time, and I hope you consider trying my Bonz. I don't think you'll be disappointed.